given the geopolitical chaos, is there reason to think that there needs to be a reset in relations with China?
I think it's certainly going to happen. I don't think that's something that that is like an option. It's happening now. There's going to be a very, very serious restructuring. I remember I was watching Prime Minister Wong from Singapore, and he was saying we will have to redraw all of our even our legal relationships in terms of the international law, in terms of all of these things. They will have a lasting effect, and there will have to be a new normal.
Is there reason to think that maybe it is a good idea to have a partnership in developing the gas resources in the disputed areas in the South China Sea?
We've always tried to differentiate the territorial disputes from our trade arrangements. And many investments still of the big programs here of the government are coming from China. And they have not used this as somehow, they haven't leveraged this in any way. In quite the contrary, they've been very, very helpful in terms of, for example, fertilizer, which is, we import a great deal of fertilizer from China.
So would you consider developing gas resources with China in the disputed regions, areas in the South China Sea? Is that something you might consider?
That's something that we've been talking about for a great deal. But the territorial disputes will get in the way of that. Maybe this will provide impetus for both sides to come to an agreement.
The Iran war, do you support the U.S.-Israel war against Iran?
It certainly was unexpected, and we never want war. Our foreign policy is very, very simple. It's peace and the national interest. That's it. And war is never in the national interest as far as the Philippines is concerned. And so we just are hoping that this ends soon, and that whatever recalibration will be done as quickly as possible, so we can get back to work. And that's really where the Philippines is. We are watching, waiting, hoping, and praying that this ends soon.
The war has sent the Philippine peso reeling 60 to the dollar. It's testing new lows after new lows. Do you think the BSP needs to tighten policy, to hike rates to support the currency?
As a matter of policy, we defend the peso to a certain extent. But I think, with the dollar moving the way it is, and it's moving. Whereas before, the dollar was seen as a safe harbor currency. When you look deeper into it, the dollar's movement increase in value has been really because they're the largest oil producer. And that's why that is. And considering that, then we have to, I think it would be even to be futile to try to spend all of this, all of our foreign reserves on defending the peso. The impact of all of this, of the war in the Middle East, is really to the middle income and the lower middle income countries, and we are a middle income country, and so that's why we have to look at that. The other side of that for the Philippines is the remittances. The remittances are paid in dollars, and so there will be an increase. But that doesn't make up for the drop in the dollar to peso.
One of the key challenges is the economy. The Philippines used to be one of the fastest growing in the region, now a laggard. Fourth quarter GDP was a mere 3%, which was the slowest pace in 14 years outside the pandemic. Can you get GDP back above 6%?
Yes, we believe we can. I mean, we were forecasting for the year 26. We were going to manage 6 to 7%, between 6 to 7%, and that figure was something that we came up with internally, But as well, the other financing institutions and the banks seem to have had the same opinion, because the improvement in our grade on S&P was going to improve. However, with the war in the Middle East, those have to be redrawn. Everything has to be redrawn. Then, of course, oil does what it does, but it was fairly steady at $72 per barrel for a good while. So those are the bases that we were calculating. Right now, things change every day. So we have to model that and recalculate that. So we'll have to see how long this problem lasts, how long it will take to readjust.
But how do you get to above 6%? What is the strategy? What's needed?
Of course, it's investment, because when it comes to production, perhaps our largest export in dollar terms is semiconductors, and that has been a very very important part. And we have now moved away, not away, but up the value chain, from just pure fabrication to design. And that has put us in a very good position for the advent of data centers, of AI. And investment, of course, is most important as well. And so we have restructured even our tax incentives for investors. The ease of doing business is something that we've been working very hard on, bring down the costs of transportation, for example, to digitalize. Digitalization is key.
Jet fuel is the other component to all of this, yes. And reports have suggested that there's a lack of jet fuel and that perhaps Philippines Air would have to ground some of the flights.
With this scarcity, shall we say, or the limitations now on crude supply, the refining of jet fuel takes a longer time. And so we will have to depend on what is readily available. And already there are, when our airlines fly out, several countries have said, we cannot fuel your aircraft, so you will have to carry the fuel there and back. And that's around here, where the long haul is going to be a much more serious problem.
So inevitably, planes will have to be grounded.
We're hoping not, but it's a possibility. It's a distinct possibility.